Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dane, your host. Hope you're doing great wherever you may find yourselves. Blessings to all of you wonderful people out there. Today's video is something that I guess was way back in my subconscious, and it was pulled out and eked out into my conscious brain because of a few YouTube videos I've seen over the last week, and then just by pure coincidence, an article I pulled up, just typing in things because of the videos, and I found this wonderful article from 2015, and this is about different types of music fans, and I'll be more specific in a minute. So let me talk about where the inspiration came from. The first one was Melinda Murphy, who has a wonderful YouTube channel. She's a vinyl collector and enthusiast. I don't know if she uses the word collector, but she's a vinyl. She loves music, so and she buys vinyl mostly. And so in that video, she talks about which type of, I don't think she uses the word consumer, but what type of consumer or buyer are you? Are you a listener or a music fan? Are you a listener, a collector, or an addict? And that got me thinking of something that's been back here. And then I saw a couple of videos on YouTube that essentially were, the titles of the videos were When is Enough Enough, also regarding the concept of collecting. And one of the YouTube channels was Zeke the Geek or Zeke the Music Geek, something like that. And finally, another YouTube video, and I don't remember the name of the channel, where this gentleman was talking about purging his big vinyl collection because he doesn't want to lose things because of what's been going on with California with the wildfires and that sort of thing. So only purge things down to the essential things that he and his family listen to. And then finally, this article, the last part of the inspiration, is from Muicha Prada interview, and the article is Muicha Prada, I hate the idea of being a collector. So I'm going to weigh in on these videos and article and talk about what I think are the different types of music fans. And I think I have 6 in all, 5 or 6. So let's get started. The first one is the streamer, and this is the person who is not big, if at all, on buying, purchasing, consuming, having physical media. They listen to music through various media, Spotify, etc., whether through their iPhone, Android, some form of cellular device, iPad, whatever, some form of streaming, Bluetooth, through the TV, etc. Again, they're not interested in physical media. And what I find interesting is on one of these videos that I was looking at, someone posted in the comments that they became a big fan of streaming, and I quote, "because I didn't want to be left behind." And I thought to myself, that's a shame, because you're not being true to yourself. You didn't want to be left behind. You're the Patrick Bateman wanting to fit in instead of being true to yourself. I've never understood the concept of going with a flow or going with a trend unless coincidentally you happen to really enjoy and love it. So that right off the bat, that, red flags going up in my mind about the logic there. Why would you follow something just because everyone else is doing it? Growing up as a kid, mom telling you whatever, just because so-and-so did something they shouldn't doesn't mean you have to do it, that kind of. So anyway, enough of that. So number one is the streamer. Number two is the casual listener, or what I call the casual music fan. This is a person who streams. This is a person who's singles oriented. This is a person who is greatest hits oriented. This is all you need. This is all that will do to satisfy their musical needs, if you will, taste. They may have a small or medium-sized collection. If I had to guess, I'd say nothing larger than, say, 500 to 1,000 CDs, even if that's kind of big. So sort of big. And they may have some complete or near complete discographies or album runs. They will use MP3s. The stress for the casual listener or the casual music fan is, again, the word casual. They're not a fanatic. They're not obsessed. They're not overly enthusiastic. More on that word later. It's not a quote-unquote religion to them. I don't like to use that phrase, music is a religion to me, because just as a religious person, that's not my cup of tea. But To each his own. So the casual listener, the casual music fan, music is not an obsession or a religion for them. Next is the third category, the music enthusiast / the music lover. Either will do. I gravitate more towards the music lover. This is the person who is enthusiastic and or obsessed with listening to music. This is what Melinda Murphy, for the most part, categorized as the listener, although some of the things I may add may be different from what she said. Anyway, overall, the music lover is the person who enjoys the experience, or as I like to add, the event of listening to music. Streaming, concerts, radio. They aren't, here's the key, they are not driven by the desire to own everything in a physical copy format, although they may have large collections or full discographies or near completed discographies, but they only purchase physical formats of what they deem truly special. While interested in things like liner notes, lyrics, background information, history, booklets that come with CDs or vinyl releases, photos in the, inside the sleeves, that kind of thing, or box sets, album art, interested in that, posters, etc. What the priority still remains for the music enthusiast or the music lover, again, as I like to call it, is that the music comes first and always comes first. It is the priority. Again, it is first and foremost. The primary focus is on the music itself. Again, have to reiterate that, so important. It's quality over quantity. It's about how the music makes you feel rather than the format that it comes in. Again, they may have some nice collections or discographies, but again, the music is key. So again, how the music makes them feel rather than the format it comes in or its rarity. The key feature here for the music fanatic, the music enthusiast, is the function or the use. That's the main purpose. Okay, the function and the use, that is listening to music, takes priority over, and always takes priority over, the exchange value of what these are worth monetarily wise, or what you can exchange them for another CD or vinyl record or tape or whatever. It takes precedence over the symbolic value, and it definitely takes priority over the prestige of ownership and what it's worth and that kind of thing in the eyes of others. Oh, look what you got, kind of thing. Again, the key word is function and use. So again, this category are people who are interested in owning album runs, discographies, may have a fairly big collection, 3,000 or more vinyl records or CDs or whatever. But again, the true test here and key ingredient is listening is the most important part. Liner notes, album art, etc., lyrics, etc., are always secondary, but they're important, of course, because it adds to the experience in the event. It gives context to the music while still remaining secondary. Listening trumps collecting. The music fanatic or the music enthusiast is the person who, I lost my place. The music enthusiast listens, again, because listening is key. Have to say that over and over again. Listening trumps collecting. Collection is a means to an end to the music enthusiast, okay? Which, of course, is listening. You collect things, you buy things because you want to listen to them. You want to enjoy the music. You're not collecting to collect. It's quality over quantity. Okay, again, I said that before. And the music enthusiast is not afraid to purge. They don't want to possess things they'll never listen to again or have things that have grown out of favor with. Overall, collecting or buying or purchasing is only to the end, the result, or the effect of wanting to listen to music. Again, because they're passionate. Have to stress that. In simplest terms, the music enthusiast or the music fan, the stress is the catch is more important than the chase. Okay? So a lot of people enjoy the thrill, the dopamine rush of purchasing, the chase, and that is the priority, unfortunately, but we'll come to that in a minute. So That is the music enthusiast, number 3. Number 4 is the collector enthusiast, or just simply the collector. They're interested, of course, in physical media, album artwork, liner notes, lyrics, background info, etc. But they collect for prestige. Yes, music is important, but it seems that the prestige, in my humble, again, this is all subjective, that the prestige comes first. To show off things, the way a person buys a Mercedes-Benz or has a $1,000 handbag, so they're more interested in the prestige that comes with it, or the symbolic value, rather than the function. They're more interested in band as brand than the band as music. The same way a person doesn't care, is more interested, hey, I have a Michael Kors handbag, and because it has that name on it, that's more important than having a handbag, because I'm going to put stuff in it. I'm just going to show it off. Look what I got, kind of thing. Because the brand name has more weight than the actual use of the said bag. In the same vein as some audiophiles, not all, a lot of audiophiles, not all of them, buy music to listen to their stereo equipment, not the other way around. You're supposed to buy a stereo equipment to listen to music. So again, things are flipped with the collector. The enthusiast uses music as a means to build up a collection, right? Collecting to collect, quantity over quality. Things are flipped here, right? Priority is skewed. The function of listening is now secondary, okay? Here the collection and the pursuit, the chase is more important. The chase trumps the music itself. The priority, as I said, is skewed. The chase is better than the catch, and the collection becomes a fetish, right? Is better, the collection becomes a fetish and is better or greater than the music in their minds. Examples: collecting greatest hits, but has the songs already on the studio versions. Doesn't like parts of many discographies, but has this feeling that they must own the albums anyway, even though they don't like said particular albums in the discography. Again, to show off, because they feel uncomfortable without having it in the collection. Some examples: a friend of mine got rid of the Blaze Bayley and the Tim Ripper Owens albums in Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, respectively, and then they could not sleep at night, so they had to go repurchase it, and it just sits on the shelf, and they never listen. I said, you listen to that? No. I don't get that, but to each his own, right? Van Halen 3. Most people tell you that Van Halen 3, the album, is garbage, and yet to be a completist, have to have it. Face Dances and It's Hard by The Who. I know someone, different person, cannot stand these albums, but since their favorite band is The Who, it sits in their collection collecting dust and nothing else. So the function is not used. So they possess things or want to have things even though they'll never put it to use. In other words, they'll never listen to it. And so I mentioned that the collector is a completist. Sometimes that's not true, but there's going to be some blurring between some of these categories. So the next one definitely is full-blown completist. So I think that for some collectors, or what I called the collector enthusiast, there is some sense of having to be a completist. So that was the last one. Now the next one is the collector addict / the completist. This includes the attributes of the previous category. Again, the prestige is greater than the music itself, quantity over quality. Completism, again, greatest hits, even though they has a song already, just like the previous category. So, for example, they have everything by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, but they're going to get the greatest hits anyway. They have everything by Judas Priest, everything under the sun, on studio, but they're going to get the gold version of greatest hits that came after the first two albums, even though they have those songs already, and they're not different versions. So that's what we mean. And this, like the previous category, they have the entire discography, but some of it they don't like, so they don't listen to it. So again, they'll possess things. They do possess things they'll never listen to. Again, that's part of being a completist. Where is it different from the previous category? Well, here in the collector addict / the completist phase or category, the buyer brainwashes themselves or conditions themselves to like something. Examples I've heard from people. I had someone I knew a long time ago that they said that it took them 14 times, 14 listens for something that they bought music-wise to click, or they got it, those phrases, which I don't care for. And I don't remember, but I didn't ask, and I just said, okay, great. But it begs the question, okay, so you listened, it took 14 listens before you liked it. Definitely condition yourself, unless the 14 listens were stretched over a very long period of time. If you listen to something 14 times in, say, a month or 2 month or 3 or even 6 month period, you definitely condition yourself to like that. But if it was like 14 listens over a period of 5 or 6 years, then yeah, you grew to like it. But again, this is a problem in this stage, or this category, the collector addict, brainwashing yourself or conditioning yourself to like something. Here's another example, even worse, which I saw on Quora or maybe even YouTube or an article or Reddit, somewhere, I don't remember, but someone wrote or said verbally that the last Styx album, Crash of the Crown, they listened to it 3 times or 4 times, they could not stand it, they didn't like it, but by gosh darn it, they were going to love it because they spent money on it, and by the 6th or 7th listen, they fell in love with it. Again, conditioned themselves to like it. And again, in addition, like the previous category, the collector addict sees the band as brand. Okay, they like to show off things. I remember there's this Wayfair commercial, and this woman's buying furniture, and after she's got everything she wants for her new house or apartment, she looks around with taking great delight. That's normal. I get that. But what I don't get is another commercial. It's about this light you can purchase to work on your car or light up the yard, and it's solar powered or something. And the guy's working on the car, and the light that he bought from the website that's advertised on the news, on TV rather, is hanging from the lid of the car, not the trunk, but the front. Right, I'm losing my mind here over what the word is for that. The hood, excuse me. So he's got the hood up because he's working on his car. And he's working on his car, he's got the wrench going, and he looks up for a minute and looks at the light and he goes back to work. And I'm thinking, that's part of the problem. You're more interested in, the fact that you bought something rather than what its usage is. And in the worst way, there's this Burger King commercial where there's this girl sitting down and she takes a bite into her hamburger, into her Whopper, and then she holds it back and goes, I don't ever stare at my food when I eat it. When it comes, I kind of go, ooh, but then I start eating it, I'm not looking at it and have to look at it. And so, again, the usage of consumer products is to use them to deal with their function and not, just stare at it and take a delight in it because you now have it in your possession. Having it in possession is secondary, is what I mean. I'm not saying it's not an important part of it, because again, we like physical media. But when staring at your hamburger, the metaphor, instead of enjoying how it tastes and how it fills your belly and how it makes you feel satisfied, it becomes secondary to the hamburger as a piece of art, or whatever that is supposed to mean, is crazy to me. So anyway, overall, the function is getting lost with the collector addict. They are passionate about some music. They are passionate about music, but it's overshadowed or overburdened by the fact that the function is getting lost, and that the real purpose of buying music, which is for them collecting to collect, or the chase, takes precedence over the catch. That's where the problem comes in. And then finally we come to the addict hoarder. This is the complete loss or near complete loss of real purpose of buying music. It's all about the quantity and not the quality. Definitely 100% collecting to collect, and it is extreme. This category of consumers buy things you don't need because you don't like them, you don't love them, but you just want them to have them. The dopamine rush. I remember years ago, growing up in the 70s, reading in the news about a woman who bought cat litter, but she doesn't own a cat. Why did she buy it? Because it's on sale. That's what we're talking about. It's a dopamine rush. as it may be for the previous categories for some of them. And stuff is everywhere. It's unorganized. It's not categorized. It's not alphabetized. And sometimes this is the worst part. The person who fits this category forgets where much of what they own is located. My final thoughts. I'm not here to pass judgment, but this is indeed a cautionary tale or lesson, and there is a cautionary tale and lesson in all of this. It should be obvious that the collector, addict / completist, and especially the addict hoarder, these behaviors are unhealthy. A quick anecdote about my life. I had some people who are no longer with me, who I love dearly, who were hoarders, and it can be a genetic or learned disorder, and I've always, have tried and still try my best to not become that person. And so, because I've seen how it can destroy someone's mental health, which can lead to the destruction of their physical health, and it both happened with these two people that I love dearly. So that's, again, not here to judge, but as a cautionary tale. And then finally, where the article comes in that I mentioned here, Lucia Prada, I hate the idea of being a collector. She has some interesting things to say in her interview. And the first thing that she says that ties into everything I'm going to say ties into what I'm talking about here. She says that she insists that culture must come to be perceived not as an extra, as a form of decoration, but as deeply useful. And again, that goes back to a video I did about the 4 signs of consumerism or materialism from the philosopher Baudrillard. The first function and most important the first value is function, and the other 3 get in the way of its use or function. So prestige gets in the way of the function, etc. But I already did a video, I don't want to go down that road, but in a similar vein, very similar to what Prada is saying compared to what Baudrillard. So again, she says culture must come to be perceived not as an extra, as a form of quote-unquote decoration, but as deeply useful. And that's the reason you buy music, to put it to use, to listen, right? And then she goes on to say that she has a resistance to or an embarrassment about the concept of ownership, which extends to the word collector. She may own some 900 pieces of contemporary and modern art, but she flinches if you use the term in her presence, the term collector. She says, quote, "I hate the idea of being a collector. I really hate it. I'm not a collector." So to fill in the blanks, she's not a collector. She's someone who puts the art to use. She enjoys it, okay? Art is a visual thing, not a auditory, as you know, as music is. But the same concept remains. And then finally, she goes on to say that the hunger for the new is a problem. In fashion, everyone wants a genius, and in another few days, they want another. It's really bad. The problem is that people think an artist has only one great period, but we all live longer now, and artists can have a comeback. Well, that's certainly true. But let's talk about the first thing that she says, and I'll wrap things up for you. She says that the hunger for the new is a problem. Well, I think it can be a problem. I don't think it is always a problem, because the music listener, the music enthusiast, and all of these categories here, I would go on a limb and say that most of the people, wherever you fit in whatever the categories are, you're always on the hunt for new music. Some people are satisfied and set with what they have, and I long to be that person in many ways, and I totally get that. But I'm always looking and hungry for new. The problem being hungry for new is if it spills over into brainwashing and conditioning yourself. You're not liking something you bought, but you're so hungry for something new that you condition yourself to like it. So there's the good and the bad that comes with. So it is a problem, but it is not a problem. It depends on where you fit in these categories. If you're an addict hoarder, then definitely the hunger for the new is not going to be fulfilled, because it's just going to sit somewhere and never be put to use, etc., etc. And of course, a lot of people become, collectors or addicts or hoarders is because they want something new and they're searching for a new genius talent in music, okay? And they want genius, delivered to them in a silver platter each and every day or each and every week. Well, genius doesn't work like that. If you think about science, geniuses are few and far between. You have Einstein and Newton and Galileo. You have many geniuses, but you don't have them in droves, and that's otherwise they wouldn't be. You wouldn't have. Then genius would lose its meaning. Speciality or special loses its meaning. Again, George Carlin says if everyone is special, then special loses its meaning. And so we apply that to art, and that every artist is special. But the collector, the addict, and the hoarder is, and you could argue, is searching for, or wanting everything to be special, and it's not real. It's not realistic. So this is the dopamine rush of seeking another genius, and I've talked about, and people have talked about how, on YouTube and other places, how legendary acts are rarities, and it's supposed to be that way. Otherwise, they wouldn't be legendary. If everyone's legendary, then legendary loses its meaning, and so that's what I get from what she's saying here. But she is also right, as Elton John has said in his memoir, that an artist can have a comeback, and that's the silver lining here, and which, so there's nothing wrong with searching for the new, as long as we're careful about not being overwhelmed by consumerism. So my final take on this is to share with you, where do I fit in all of this? I would have to say that at one point I was borderline getting to the point of becoming a person collecting to collect. And then this is years ago, and over 10 years ago. And then I woke up one day and it had something to do with Hurricane Katrina, and I pulled back, and it's just get what you deem as special and that sort of thing. And I believe in purging, when you're not listening to something. I don't need to have everything by, I love Neil Young, and he's got like 50 albums. I don't need all 50 of them because there's a few stinkers in there, in that catalog, and I'll never own them because I don't like the music there. And if there's a song or two that I like, well, I just download it. So that's the logic. So I'm not into collecting for prestige anymore. So where do I fall? I fall in the category of the person who puts the music first, the music lover or the music enthusiast, because I've come to understand, and it was way before Hurricane 2005, way before I read this article a few days ago. I totally concur with Miss Prada here. Hold on, let me get my notes back here that I wanted to. Final thought here, if you will. So I'll just read this very quickly again, because I think it's very eye-opening. Here we go, folks. I'm so sorry. She says, the writer here says, the writer is, or the interviewer, Karen Archer, something like that. Anyway, she says that Prada tells her, "I hate the idea of being a collector. I really hate it. I'm not a collector." And I share her viewpoint of that. In the back of my brain for the last 30-something years, I've always had a problem with the collector because, and I don't consider myself a collector, although I purchase and buy things. I'm not a collector because I'm a music lover. Collector gives off the idea. Collector gives off the idea that collecting is the priority when it's not. You collect to listen. So I don't like the term collector. I'm a music lover. I'm a music enthusiast, but I prefer, hey, I'm a music lover. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye now.